So let's talk about Luke's sabers. All right, so we've touched a little bit on Luke's sabers when we were talking about Anakin's saber, because obviously his first saber was Anakin's saber, the Revenge of the Sith saber. Now that prop was obviously made using a Graflex light tube, which was literally the thing that went on the side of a press camera. When you look at those sort of completely unmodified as stock, you know, you'd be surprised at literally how much of the lightsaber is already there and how little they actually had to add to it to make it the prop. It really is mostly the sort of black grips that they added on one end and some of the sort of buttons at the other end, the bubble strip. So that saber changed a little bit for Empire Strikes Back, in that it was still a Graflex thing. They kept it faithful, but they changed the control strip to a sort of more circuit board design. They added some studs into the grips, a different D-ring on the end, and also a one. Sorry about the traffic. And they also put a large sort of switch on the underside near the emitter, where before it was more flat. Anyway, but it was essentially the same, and obviously that saber then gets lost in the duel with Darth Vader. And come episode 6, he has to have a new saber, and he designs his own saber. There was a deleted scene that's probably you can find on YouTube of him actually constructing or finishing the construction of that saber on Tatooine before he goes to Jabba's palace. And so the one thing that not a lot of people, or that people don't always know about the Return of the Jedi saber, is that there are two distinct different sabers. Why they did this is kind of, it's not a mystery. It's to do with, I think it was to do with the fact that what they call the hero prop, the prop that they made, which is the one that you see in close-up with Vader when Luke gives himself up on Endor. You see a close-up shot of Vader examining Luke's new saber, and he says, you constructed a new lightsaber, blah blah blah. Now that's called the hero prop, because it's, you see it in close-up, and it's a beautifully made machined aluminium or aircraft steel or whatever it is, and it's a beautiful thing, but it was very unwieldy. It wasn't very nice to actually throw around, because the control box was very big on it, and so they designed there was a whole nother saber that was along very, very similar lines. It was very, very similar, but it was called, they called it the V2 saber, and that would be okay if that was only really seen in the film when Luke is wielding it, but actually you see it quite clearly in the film. And one of the most prominent times that you see it is when Luke jumps onto Jabba's barge. You see it very clearly, and also when it's sitting on the throne room, the Emperor's throne, the arm of, when he has that, that's the V2 saber. That's not the hero prop. Weird, right? So there's two distinct sabers, and of course, again, with the prop and aftermarket replica, sort of thing that you can buy either, because they are quite different. But both of them are very reminiscent of the Obi-Wan A New Hope, or Revenge of the Sith saber. They have a very similar design. They're not based on the Graflex thing. They're more designed on the machined, with the sort of louvres and the emitter separate with a narrow stalk head, neck. It's my favorite saber. One of the sort of things that I liked the most about Luke's Episode 6 saber was the ignition sound. They created a whole new ignition sound for it, which is a sort of snap and hiss sound that the other sabers don't make. And if you watch that film, look out for that. The way that saber ignites is very cool. The sound is, I always like that the best. It's my favorite, as you could probably tell. And there we are. But the hero version, I don't like the V2 as much. The V2 is okay, but they're both very much. They both very much look like Obi-Wan's saber, and that was kind of Lucas, I think, introducing this idea, or at least acknowledging this idea, that the Padawan's saber is usually honors the Master's saber in some way in its design, and that's why Luke's saber that he actually builds himself rather than the one he inherited looks like Obi-Wan's. Anyway, gone on for far too long. Sabers, eh? Who's next? Who have we got? I suppose we could do Vader. Let's do Vader.